storming bracket.
What's going on, everyone? So today I will be talking about two 2021 films that I saw in theaters, Cruella and Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Yes, this is yet another review where I have to combine movies because, just for time's sake, I'm still a little bit behind, so I do apologize about that. But anyways, let's get to it, guys. Let's talk about Cruella first, and then we'll talk about Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. So Cruella is available on Disney Plus for $30, or you can see it in theaters. I, of course, saw it in theaters, and I was excited for this movie. I'm a big fan of Emma Stone. I think she's a great actress. She consistently gives a lot of great performances, and I love that consistency. Not only that, but anytime I see that her name is attached to something, I immediately get excited because of that consistency. Added on top of that, you also have a director that's proven himself time and time again. Of course, with I, Tonya, which was a good movie, and then Lars and the Real Girl, which I think was pretty solid. I do need to rewatch that movie, but I can definitely see why they chose him for this, project. Now, the thing is, I can't lie. Going into the theater, I was excited, but I did try to keep my expectations at bay because all the other Disney remakes that I've seen, I've been quite disappointed by, or I thought were just kind of like, especially the ones where it's literally copy and paste from, one movie to the other in terms of like the animated one, obviously into live action. But Cruella, the difference was going into it, the reason why I was kind of excited was because it's not that at all. It is an origin story of Cruella, and obviously not many people were asking for the origin story of Cruella, but again, when you see so many talented individuals coming together, you can't help but be excited. And I have to say, I was disappointed by this movie. I will say that it's not a bad movie, it's just a huge misfire and a disappointment. But let me talk about the positives first. Obviously, Emma Stone, as I already mentioned, she's consistent, she's great. I liked her take on Cruella. I thought it was very unique, honestly. And then obviously, production design, costume design, makeup are also highlights of the movie. They do a really good job in those aspects, but I mean, that's pretty atypical of Disney. Like when you watch a Disney movie, you always know that those aspects are probably going to be really good, and they usually do end up getting Oscar nominations in terms of those categories. Can definitely see that happening here as well. But besides that, I found this movie, like I said, to be disappointing, and I can get into it. So the narration and the soundtrack, I wanted to talk about the two of them because they both honestly have a lot in common. The narration was very distracting. The narration felt like it was really spoon-feeding the audience. I really did like it when there were certain scenes where the narration wasn't there, and it actually gave the movie, room to breathe. When it gave the movie room to breathe and it didn't have that narration, it actually worked, I thought. Especially like during that one heist scene where there wasn't any narration. That worked really well, I think. Added on top of that, the soundtrack, which also goes into that because the soundtrack is also very distracting. And when there isn't a soundtrack utilized, when the soundtrack isn't utilized and instead you have that Nicholas Brittle score actually being used, it works. Nicholas Brittle is such a great composer, and it really pains me to say this, but his score in the movie is probably like 5-10 minutes long. It's hardly used, and I think that in itself is a sin because if you've seen Moonlight or Vice, you know that he's a great composer. He brings a lot to the table. So what did Disney decide to do? They were like, you know what? In terms of editing, you guys, you need to have it where there's every single 60s, 70s song possible. Put it in there. Come on, do it already. Because we need to show that we have a lot of money. That's just kind of like, obviously, I'm being kind of satirical with that. But truth is, that's kind of does how it feel. But I do know that obviously they just wanted to really give you that flair of feeling like you're in that time period. But I just think that it didn't work because a lot of the times it didn't feel subtle. And a lot of times it also just wasn't fitting in the slightest. Which is a shame. Because again, the songs itself, if you listen to the songs itself, the songs are good. I'm not denying that. They are good. I just thought that in terms of how it worked. The best example would be, it reminded me of Suicide Squad. Good soundtrack from Suicide Squad, but the utilization of those, obviously songs and everything didn't work in the slightest, at least for me personally. So if you like Suicide Squad in terms of the soundtrack, you'll probably like this movie as well in that aspect. But for me, it just didn't work. Also, the visual effects sometimes weren't that polished. There were a lot of times where the visual effects were solid, and I did like them. But there were other times where it didn't. And I think that also might be the combination of the cinematography, which a lot of times doesn't feel wholly good. Sometimes it feels just slightly passable, and sometimes even not the best. I feel like maybe they should have gotten Tim Burton to direct this movie because I feel like Tim Burton's style probably would have been a little bit better fit. But again, the director is still good, but I just think that maybe either Disney got too involved in terms of the director, or maybe his style just didn't work for the movie itself. But either way, wasn't a fan of this movie, unfortunately, and I would be giving Cruella a 2 out of 5 star rating. But I would still say check it out because, maybe if a lot of people see this, again, maybe if more people see this, maybe they'll see that Disney will see that, hey, we should try to make more original, remakes and not shot-by-shot remakes. But even still, I would still say Disney try to make more original movies, or at least attempt to. But either way, I would still say give it a shot at least, despite me being disappointed by it. But next movie, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. I hope I even said that correctly. This movie, I had no expectations. I didn't see the trailer. It wasn't like Cruella where I constantly saw the trailer in theaters. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, my apologies. I didn't see the trailer. So I had no idea what it was about, and that's why I'm not going to say anything. All I'm going to say is it's the sequel to the Hitman's Bodyguard, which came out, I believe, in 2017, and I did finally see it at the beginning of 2018. I wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was just okay, but I don't remember it, so I probably wouldn't like it now if I were to watch it, because Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is similar. I saw this movie 48 to 72 hours ago, I believe 2-3 days ago. I forget, honestly. I don't really remember that much about this movie, other than that it had good sound mixing, a good cast, and that occasionally I did chuckle. But besides that, everything is really paint by numbers. And not only is it paint by numbers in terms of its approach, but a lot of times, despite it being obviously fast-paced and, having really good sound mixing, it really did, more times than not, feel like you were on autopilot in terms of watching. And by that, I mean, it was more of a passive experience. I wasn't invested or anything because I didn't care about the characters or story. And the filmmaking wasn't bad per se, but there was nothing really unique about it or in terms of its approach or anything. Again, I like the cast and I did like the sound mixing, but besides that, this movie, again, it's already drifted from my memory. And yeah, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, I'll be giving a 2 out of 5 star rating. So not much to talk about in terms of that movie. I mean, again, if you like the first one, you'll probably like the second one. If you didn't like the first one, odds are you probably won't like the second one. But either way, both movies I personally found to be pretty forgettable. So if you just want, I think it's 99 minutes long. If you just want 99 minutes to just, be diverted in terms of this movie, this is a diverting movie, no question about it. It's just as soon as the movie ends, you're going to forget everything that you saw. But yeah, those are my 2 reviews for obviously 2021 movies. Anyways, Cruella and Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Let me know your thoughts on both of those, or either one, whichever ones you've seen, or if you've seen both. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.